In Consumer Watch, American shopping habits are causing devastating impacts across the globe. Nowadays, people are purchasing more fast fashion clothing items, only to get rid of them once they are no longer trendy. Millions of discarded garments make their way overseas, and they're causing an environmental disaster. Deborah Pata went to Ghana to see what really happens to some of our donated items.
Have you ever wondered where the clothes you throw away end up? Some of them travel thousands of miles to Ghana. This is actually no beach paradise. Look a little closer and your discarded fast fashion could be rotting right here. It's the dark skeleton lurking inside fast fashion's trendy closet. Our generous donations are not always as charitable as they seem. In Ghana's Kantamanto market, trucks offload these bales stuffed with our used clothing. It's estimated 15 million items arrive here every week.
Well, Ghana is only a country of 30 million people.
That's fashion designer and activist Sammy Oteng, who knows every inch of this 7-acre maze with its more than 5,000 stalls.
Before, they used to have like good quality clothes, but now there's a lot of trash and a lot of like very low quality clothes.
He upcycles garments from Kantamanto, but says increasingly these synthetic fabrics cannot be salvaged, let alone resold.
The whole fast fashion module is built around building cheap clothing.
And the US is the biggest culprit, exporting more second-hand clothing than any other country on earth. I can't even lift this bag. It's so heavy, stuffed with clothes from America. The bales cost traders anywhere between $25 to $500. Untangling them is a tense tussle, as they have no idea what's inside. It's the luck of the draw. Trader Zaliatu Asare is barely breaking even. That's a nice one. Sometimes making as little as $10 after gambling on garments that have no second life. They're known as Obroni Wawu, which means dead white man's clothes.
Dead man white clothes.
Why? You'd have to have died to have given away so many clothes. We found everything from big-name brands to personalized T-shirts like this one from Pennsylvania. This T-shirt was clearly made very recently. It references COVID and has already made it thousands of miles to Ghana. Ghanaians do a remarkable job with our castoffs. Tailoring, color washing, and even tie-dyeing them back to life. But it's not enough to reduce the glut of clothing created by our addiction to fast fashion. So effectively, Kantamanto is highlighting America's waste problem.
Exactly.
Excess.
Exactly. Waste is being built into the model of fast fashion. Like overproduce. And then in the end, like people wear clothes for just like 2 weeks and then just discard them. The waste does not end up in America. Ultimately, it ends up here in Kantamanto.
But it doesn't stay in Kantamanto. When the rains come, some of this textile waste washes up on the local beaches. They're called tentacles and they're everywhere on this beach. Discarded, rotting, tangled mess of clothing. They're buried so deep, it's almost impossible to pull them out. And this is nothing compared to Ghana's overwhelmed landfills, where the rest of the unsold clothing ends up. Head of the city's waste management, Solomon Noy, has a message for Americans.
Deal with it. Do not hide under the guise of donations of second-hand clothing, and then you ship them over to us just to cause problems to us.
Problems like the toxic fumes from old Fatima's dump site, where a massive precipice looms, formed not of rock, but indestructible discarded clothing.
Yeah,
you can see the brands.
When you come here, you see a whole lot of brands. Adidas, H&M, Zara.
It's estimated that 40% of all the clothing bales end up as landfill. So basically, this is where dead white men's clothes go to die.
Yes, in the end, yes.
Our good intentions have created an environmental nightmare halfway around the world.
So Deborah is joining us now. Wow, like, so this is a whole sort of area that I knew nothing about. And I think kind of part of what's disturbing about it is I've donated clothes to what I thought were good causes, and I was thinking I was doing a good thing because I wasn't throwing it in the trash, and, you know, I'm recycling, and that's what you're supposed to do. I was also thinking that the clothes that I donated was going to end up in the hands of someone in need locally. At a Salvation Army store or something like that. How did the clothes end up in Ghana?
Well, that's really the nub of it, Anne-Marie. And I also knew nothing about this until I did this story. We are so disconnected from the process of waste disposal. It's actually a very long and complicated supply chain that is completely invisible, not only to the average person like yourself with good intentions, but to the charities themselves. So we donate our clothes, congratulating ourselves for doing a great deed. High quality garments are quickly sold in the US, so anything good is sold immediately. Whatever doesn't get sold in charity thrift stores is then further sorted through and is sold to a salvage market. From there, the creme de la creme of the leftovers is sent to Europe, while the really lower grade items are sent to places like Ghana, which has a long tradition of recycling garments. They're known there, and it was so delightful, commented on by Zaliatu Asari's laugh in our report, Obroni Wawu, dead white man's clothes, because somebody would have to have died to donate so many old clothes. Now, ultimately, tightly packed bales of clothing then are shipped to Ghana, but there's no charity then. Traders buy them at a cost of between $25 to $500, but as we explained in our piece, they have absolutely no idea what they're buying. It's such a gamble, and it's only been getting worse in the past 10 years due to the low-quality synthetic clothing that's manufactured by fast fashion, and that enables them to sell catwalk knockoffs very, very cheaply. So these traders usually lose money on each bale. In fact, 40% of it is of such shocking quality, 40%, that it ends up as waste in overwhelmed landfills like Old Fudham. That's the horrifying dump site that we visited. So we need to be a lot more discerning, firstly, about the stuff that we donate. The head of Ghana's waste management, Solomon Noy, told us that so much of the donated clothing is actually just rubbish. He said it's no different, he said, than removing trash from your trash bin and exporting that to Ghana. If it's not good enough for you, one trader told us, then it's not good enough for Ghanaians. Anne-Marie?
You know, Deborah, first of all, I got to say, I'm so happy that your piece allowed us, the viewers, to sort of take in the sights and sounds of West Africa. It absolutely took me back to the marketplaces that I used to visit in West Africa and in Nigeria and in Ghana. So well done on that. But the other point that you made, and you just made it again now, is how Ghanaians are doing a remarkable job with our discarded clothing. But it doesn't seem to be enough. So what would a world look like where we perhaps were not donating our clothes so that they end up in these landfills? I don't think the problem, I guess, is that people are buying them in Ghana and perhaps wearing them. I mean, you do see a lot of people in West Africa, in fact, across the continent, wearing clothes that say, the name of the Super Bowl champion who didn't actually win the game. You see that a lot. But it's about the clothes that end up in the landfills. So what can be done about that?
No, that's exactly the point, Vlad, and I'm glad it took you back, because those markets are phenomenal, and Kantamanto is one of the largest, in fact, in West Africa. I mean, frankly, we owe Ghana a debt of gratitude for dealing with America's problem. Kantamanto is this massive, snaking alleyway of 5,000 stores, and you can get anything there. It's incredible. Homeware, shoes, children's clothes, dresses, even used underwear, despite the fact that Ghana has actually banned the import of this. Fashion designers like Samuel Ting, whom we spoke to, has a wonderful Instagram feed of his designs. He works with the market. He upcycles those garments. And you saw those tailors who downsize and rework American clothes for local taste. There's a whole selection where entrepreneurs color wash jeans. And we came across a very dazzling display of garments that have been given a new lease of life with tie-dye that was sort of laid across this disused track. But there are 15 million items arriving every week. The US exports more secondhand clothing than any other country on earth, over 1.5 billion pounds to be precise. And Ghana is a country of 30 million people, so do the maths. Every citizen would need to buy 2 items a month just from Kantamanto to cope. It's an oversaturated market. Why? Because fast fashion lives up to its name. It's just too fast, Vlad. We used to have 4 seasons a year. Fast fashion has 52. A new micro collection every week. We have single-use T-shirts to celebrate one special event. We don't need this. It's never worn again. We wear fashion on average only 7 times before throwing it away. So we need to wear our clothes longer. We don't need to be buying so much. There's just too much. There's too little good quality items. And so, you know, when the rain comes, that textile waste is just washed into the sea surrounding the capital. Our producer, Lee Canary, said that she'd never felt so sad walking on a beach as she did in Ghana, because that tangled mass of clothing is just polluting the beaches and causing damage to the oceans. And if there's one thing we learned from COVID, is that our world is connected. Your problem becomes my problem and back again. And as the head of waste management told us, eventually that problem is going to come back to the US if we keep stockpiling those clothes. So, in fact, one suggestion that's been touted is that we should buy no new clothes for a year. Now that's hard. I'm one of those people who loves clothes. I love buying new clothes, but I don't need them. So we can do better. We can buy less.
You know, it's such an interesting point. I don't know if you both remember the story that I did for CBS This Morning a couple of years ago on wearing the same clothes every single day, right? There are some people in the world who have made that decision, Deborah. They've said, you know what, I'm not going to buy, you know, clothes every month or even every year. I'm just going to wear the same thing every day. And I sort of embraced that myself. And there's a funny picture on my Instagram where it just shows like all of my black T-shirts, because that's literally all I ever wear when I'm not on the air. And I think, though, there's a larger issue. The donating of clothes, like Anne-Marie was saying that she does, I think started to really take off after World War II, when the United States emerged victorious from the ashes of the war in Europe, and other countries who were still struggling with their economies needed textiles. And so that became a thing where we said to our children, let's donate clothes for kids who are less fortunate than us, even in the United States. And also you've had, Deborah, and you know this, the collapse of the textile industry in many parts of Africa. Back in the 50s and 60s, as African countries gained their independence, they made their own clothing. And now they're reliant more on either exports from the United States or these hand-me-downs. But when I was in West Africa, I'd get full-on suits made and full-on traditional garments made for a lot less than what you spend at Macy's here in the United States. But it's not on a wide, it's not at a mass scale anymore the way it used to be in the 50s. So there are all these little details that go into this story. It's a really remarkable one. I'm curious, Deborah, how did you, what sparked the interest in covering this story?
Well, it was actually suggested to me by a colleague in London. They saw a picture in a local newspaper in London. And then we investigated further and had a look at it, because we're very interested in how other countries in the global north affect continents like Africa, where we don't, you know, for example, on this continent, they contribute the least amount to carbon emissions, and yet they're at the brunt of everything, climate change, and then this waste problem. You know, we've done other stories, for example, in Kenya, where we've seen America exporting its plastic waste to Kenya. And these countries can barely deal with their own waste problems. They don't have sophisticated infrastructure to do so. So it makes absolutely no sense to then send these clothes. So I was very interested in that chain. I mean, think about it. The clothes are seldom made in America. They're made elsewhere, possibly in Asia, sent to America, worn briefly, and then sent halfway around the world again. All the environmental cost that just goes into shipping before we've even got to the waste problem. And I'm just interested in how these problems affect us and how we have almost that butterfly effect. One thing is done, it causes this huge environmental disaster in Ghana. Ultimately, as I was saying, will come back to haunt America and everywhere else in the world. So, you know, we really need to slow down our consumption of fast fashion. There's a wonderful organization called the OR Foundation. It's an American NGO, and it's helping Ghanaians to change this. It's worth taking a look at the work that they do.
You said something interesting, too, where you talked about how there used to be sort of 4 seasons of fashion, and now there's 52, with this demand for these sort of micro, you know. No, but it's very true. And you know, you talk about how things fit together. that is part of the reason why the fashion industry had such a terrible time once the pandemic hit and people were not shopping anymore, because they have several, groups of clothing sort of down the line ready to go. And when the demand dropped off, all that money was already spent. And so you're not sending it to the stores anymore. They don't want it. And so I'm wondering if some of that stuff ended up making its way down to Ghana as well. I wonder if particularly because of the pandemic, there is now a sort of a glut of this fast fashion that we didn't want because we were all living in our sweatsuits for, a year.
Exactly. I mean, I think about it. What did we wear? But if you weren't on air, as you say, you would just wear, I had a sort of a rotation of a few outfits. There was no ways I was going to be dressing up smartly when all I was doing was sitting at my dining room table and working. So a lot of that stuff did make its way to Ghana. I mean, we saw a T-shirt there that referenced COVID. That's how quickly this cycle was going on. It was a very nice T-shirt about how you should all wear masks and people who wear masks are your friends. But nevertheless, it's made its way all the way around the world already. So that's, how quickly. And a lot of people sorted out their closets during COVID as well. It was time to sort of do the big cleanup in one's home. Those garments also made their way. Yeah. So I think that certainly is a problem. Fast fashion really is just too fast, and the quality of the clothing is not what it used to be. If you think about good fashioned, old-fashioned cotton, that would slowly even disintegrate into the earth. It would take a while, but it would go. Other stuff is indestructible. I'm very pleased to tell you that, especially for this, I wore a dress today that's 10 years old.
Doesn't look it. And you look just as good. You look just as good, Deborah.
There you go.
Love it. Thank you, Deborah, for such a fascinating, illuminating reporting as always. We appreciate it. Thank you.